Robert Evgen, walked into court demanding justice after what he claimed was a completely false domestic violence arrest that destroyed both his reputation and his relationship. Sitting across from him was his former fiancée, Kimberly Fonger, who insisted the arrest happened for a reason. The tension between them was obvious immediately, and Judge Judy quickly realized this case involved far more than just missing property and a dog. Robert explained that he and Kimberly first met in rehab back in 2006. According to him, both of them were struggling with addiction at the time. He admitted his own issue had been alcohol, while Kimberly had battled problems involving prescription pills. Their relationship continued for several years, but Robert claimed everything spiraled out of control on January 9th, the night that led to his arrest. Judge Judy started by questioning Robert about his criminal history. He admitted that years earlier, he had been arrested for driving under the influence, though he said the charge was later reduced. Aside from that, he insisted he had never been in trouble with the law before this domestic violence accusation. Robert's lawsuit claimed Kimberly falsely accused him of assaulting her while they were driving home from a casino trip. He explained that after his arrest, the criminal charges were eventually dropped because there wasn't enough evidence to continue the case. According to Robert, Kimberly also filed restraining orders against him afterward. One was dismissed when she failed to appear in court, while another was granted because, he claimed, she convinced him. She planned to withdraw it, so he never showed up to defend himself. Now, Robert wanted compensation for what he described as humiliation, emotional damage, lost property, and the loss of his dog. Kimberly, however, painted a very different picture. She claimed Robert became violent during the drive home after an argument started at the casino. According to her, Robert had been drinking heavily throughout the day and became angry when she wanted to remain at the casino concert longer while he wanted to leave. She told Judge Judy that during the drive, Robert slammed her head against the car window repeatedly until she blacked out. Kimberly claimed the next thing she remembered was police officers arriving at the scene. Robert immediately denied the accusation. He insisted Kimberly had actually attacked him while he was driving. According to him, she scratched his face violently during the argument, forcing him to pull into a parking lot to calm the situation down. Robert described Kimberly as hysterical and completely out of control, screaming loudly until bystanders called the police. Judge Judy listened carefully before focusing on one major fact neither side could deny. Both of them had been drinking heavily that day. Robert admitted they had started drinking around noon before heading to the concert later that evening. Kimberly admitted she had consumed alcohol as well, though she denied taking pills. Robert strongly disagreed and accused her of abusing prescription medication. He even claimed she had forged a doctor's signature days earlier to obtain more pills illegally. Judge Judy immediately became suspicious of Kimberly's behavior in court. Kimberly appeared emotional, nervous, and unstable while speaking, and the judge bluntly questioned whether she was currently under the influence of drugs. Kimberly denied it repeatedly, and even agreed to take a hair follicle drug test immediately to prove she was telling the truth. Judge Judy warned her very clearly that if she lied about drug use, it would destroy her credibility completely. Kimberly insisted she was innocent and challenged Robert to take the same test himself. As the hearing continued, Judge Judy reviewed the police report from the night of the incident. The report showed that both Robert and Kimberly were intoxicated and both had visible injuries. Kimberly reportedly had a bloody lip, while Robert had scratches across his face. Judge Judy wasted no time, making her opinion clear. She told Robert that, regardless of Kimberly's behavior, he was responsible for putting himself in danger the moment he decided to drive drunk. According to the judge, his own poor judgment had led directly to his arrest. Robert tried defending himself, arguing that police never would have been involved if Kimberly hadn't caused such a scene. Judge Judy immediately shut him down, reminding him that driving under the influence alone created a dangerous situation for everyone on the road. She pointed out that someone could easily have been killed if his vehicle had struck another car carrying a family. Robert reluctantly admitted she had a point, but still insisted Kimberly's actions escalated the situation. Judge Judy made it very clear she had little sympathy for either one of them. In her eyes, the entire situation was the predictable result of two intoxicated people trapped inside a toxic relationship. The conversation then shifted to the property dispute. Robert claimed Kimberly took several items while he sat in jail after the arrest, including a television, a VCR, a bed, and most importantly, his dog. Robert became visibly emotional, discussing the dog, explaining that he had raised it for over 2 years and considered it like a child. Kimberly insisted many of the items belonged to her. When Robert tried showing additional evidence, including veterinary paperwork and recordings proving ownership of the dog, Judge Judy barely looked at them. Instead, she focused on the bigger issue: the unhealthy and destructive relationship both parties had created together. Kimberly also attempted to present hospital paperwork showing injuries she claimed resulted from the assault. Judge Judy reviewed the documents briefly, but quickly dismissed them as incomplete and unhelpful. The papers mainly contained discharge instructions rather than detailed medical evidence of serious injuries. After hearing enough, Judge Judy finally reached her conclusion. She stated that the incident sounded like exactly what happens when two intoxicated people lose control during an argument. Since both parties were injured, both had been drinking heavily, and neither side provided convincing proof, she refused to reward either of them financially. The judge dismissed Robert's claims regarding false arrest and property. She also dismissed Kimberly's counterclaim for medical expenses. Before ending the case, Judge Judy delivered one final lecture. She reminded Robert that if he had not been driving under the influence, none of this would have happened in the first place. She also warned both of them that relationships formed during addiction recovery often become unstable and destructive. As they exited the courtroom, Robert admitted the relationship had been doomed from the beginning, while Kimberly remained emotional and angry over the entire situation. But the drama inside Judge Judy's courtroom was far from over. The next case involved 19-year-old Kimberly Faith, who had brought her own mother, Ruth Austin, to court over money from a childhood dog bite settlement. Kimberly explained that when she was 6 years old, she was attacked by a dog and suffered injuries that left permanent scars. a lawsuit was filed on her behalf, and eventually, a settlement was reached. According to Kimberly, once she turned 18, her father gave her part of the settlement money. But she claimed her mother had spent the remaining portion years earlier and now refused to repay it. Judge Judy immediately asked for the settlement paperwork. Kimberly explained that after attorney fees were deducted, the total settlement had been only a few $1,000s. She admitted her father had also used some of the money over the years, but she said they eventually reached a personal agreement because he had continued helping her financially by paying bills and supporting her education. Her mother, however, insisted the settlement money had simply been used to survive during extremely difficult years. Ruth explained that at the time, the family was struggling financially, living in motels, and working multiple jobs just to get by. Kimberly argued that the money should have been protected for her future since she was the injured child. Judge Judy carefully reviewed the settlement documents, searching for any legal language requiring the funds to be placed into a protected account until Kimberly became an adult. But, after examining the paperwork, Judge Judy explained there was no such requirement. She clarified that the agreement simply released the dog owner from further legal liability. It did not legally require the parents to preserve the money in a special account for their daughter. Kimberly became frustrated, insisting she had been told by others that the money should never have been spent. Judge Judy immediately stopped her, explaining that outside opinions and hearsay meant nothing in court without actual legal proof. Although the judge sympathized with Kimberly emotionally, she explained there was no legal basis for her lawsuit. Judge Judy openly criticized both parents for handling the settlement irresponsibly. She explained that if the case had gone through a more formal court process, a structured settlement could have been created to protect the money until Kimberly reached adulthood. Instead, the parents accepted a quick settlement and used the funds themselves during hard financial times. Kimberly argued that she was the one left with permanent scars, while the money disappeared long ago. Judge Judy acknowledged her pain, but reminded her again that emotional unfairness does not automatically create a legal claim. The judge also dismissed Kimberly's complaints about her father, pointing out that paying for his daughter's phone bill and allowing her to live with him rent-free were simply basic parental responsibilities, not extraordinary favors. As the hearing continued, deeper family tension slowly surfaced. Kimberly clearly carried years of anger toward her mother, while Ruth insisted she had done the best she could under difficult circumstances. Judge Judy refused to turn the case into a therapy session. She explained bluntly that family relationships are often messy, especially between mothers and daughters, but the courtroom could only decide legal issues, not emotional wounds. In the end, Judge Judy dismissed Kimberly's case completely. As the parties left the courtroom, Kimberly remained hurt and disappointed, while her mother appeared exhausted by years of conflict between them. Before the episode ended, Judge Judy once again reinforced one of the lessons she repeats often inside her courtroom. Life may feel unfair sometimes, but emotions alone are never enough to win a legal case.